Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this explosive breakdown of one of the most shocking moments in daytime television history, where tensions boiled over on the set of Loose Women, leading to Jane Moore dramatically kicking Meghan Markle off the show after a heated argument that left everyone stunned. It all started innocently enough, with the panel inviting the Duchess of Sussex as a special guest to discuss her life post-royalty, her new ventures in America, and her thoughts on feminism and media scrutiny. But little did anyone know that the conversation would take a fiery turn when Jane Moore, known for her no-nonsense journalistic style, decided to challenge Meghan on some of her past statements about the British press and the royal family. As the show began, the atmosphere was electric, with the audience buzzing in anticipation, and the other panelists like Denise Welch and Kay Adams trying to keep things light-hearted. But Jane wasn't having it, probing deeper into why Meghan felt the need to air so much dirty laundry in public through interviews and her Netflix series. Meghan, poised and articulate as always, defended herself by saying that she was simply sharing her truth and empowering others who felt silenced, but Jane countered sharply, accusing her of playing the victim card while enjoying the privileges of her position, which sparked the first signs of friction as Meghan's eyes narrowed and she leaned forward, her voice rising slightly to emphasize that she had faced real racism and mental health struggles that the media had downplayed. The argument escalated quickly, with Jane insisting that the royal family had bent over backwards to accommodate her, citing examples from palace insiders about special arrangements made for her wedding and early duties, while Meghan fired back that those so-called accommodations were mere crumbs compared to the institutional biases she encountered. And the audience gasped as the two women talked over each other, their words clashing like swords in a duel. Denise tried to intervene, suggesting they move on to lighter topics like Meghan's favorite recipes from her Archetypes podcast, but it was too late. The damage was done, and Jane, feeling her authority as a longtime panelist challenged, stood up and declared that if Meghan couldn't handle honest questions, perhaps she wasn't ready for British TV. Which prompted Meghan to retort that honesty was one thing, but biased interrogation was another, harking back to her Oprah interview revelations. The producer in the earpieces must have been panicking, but on screen, it was pure drama, with Kay Adams calling for a commercial break, but not before Jane pointed towards the exit and said those infamous words, "If you can't stand the heat, get off the set," effectively kicking Meghan off the show amid cheers and boos from the divided audience. In the aftermath, social media exploded with hashtags like #JaneVsMeghan and #LooseWomenDrama, as fans debated whether Jane was a hero for calling out entitlement or a bully for ambushing a guest, while Meghan's supporters rallied around her, sharing clips of the confrontation and praising her for standing her ground against what they saw as outdated British snobbery. Critics pointed out that this incident highlighted the ongoing rift between the Sussexes and the UK media, with Jane later defending her actions in a column, stating that tough questions are part of journalism and that celebrities can't expect kid-glove treatment. Meanwhile, ITV issued a statement apologizing for any discomfort caused but standing by their commitment to lively debates, though insiders revealed that ratings skyrocketed, making it one of the most watched episodes ever. As we delve deeper into this saga, it's clear that personalities like Jane Moore represent the old guard of British media, unafraid to challenge narratives, while Meghan embodies the new wave of self-advocacy and global influence, and their clash was inevitable in a world where royal secrets meet public scrutiny. But what really happened behind the scenes? Rumors swirled that Meghan had requested certain topics be off-limits, like her relationship with her father or the ongoing lawsuits, but Jane ignored the memo, leading to the blow-up, and some say producers encouraged the confrontation for views. Whatever the truth, this moment has become a cultural touchstone, replayed in memes and parodies, showing how quickly civility can crumble under the spotlight. And as the dust settled, Meghan returned to California, reportedly unfazed, while Jane continued her role on the show, perhaps with a newfound reputation as the panelist who doesn't back down. This event also sparked broader conversations about guest treatment on talk shows, with some calling for more respectful dialogues, but others arguing that raw, unfiltered exchanges are what make TV compelling. In the end, whether you side with Jane or Meghan, one thing's for sure, Daytime TV will never be the same after this heated showdown that had everyone talking for weeks on end. Diving right back into the heart of the controversy, let's unpack the build-up to the fateful Loose Women episode where Jane Moore's decision to kick Meghan Markle off the set after their heated argument became the talk of the town, starting from the invitation itself, which was extended as part of a promotional push for Meghan's latest book or project, but with underlying tensions from years of media coverage on her exit from royal life. The panel had been briefed on sensitive topics, yet Jane, with her background in tabloid journalism, saw an opportunity to address what she perceived as inconsistencies in Meghan's story, particularly around her claims of being unprepared for royal protocols despite her acting career teaching her poise under pressure. As Meghan took her seat, smiling graciously, the initial chit-chat was amicable, covering her life in Montecito, her children Archie and Lilibet, and her passion for humanitarian work, but Jane steered the conversation towards criticism, questioning why Meghan chose to monetize her royal experiences through deals with Spotify and Netflix instead of quietly moving on. Meghan responded calmly at first, explaining that storytelling was her way of healing and connecting with others who felt marginalized, but Jane pressed on, bringing up specific quotes from Harry's memoir Spare that painted the family in a negative light, suggesting it was a calculated PR move rather than genuine disclosure. The temperature rose as Meghan accused Jane of perpetuating the very media hostility she fled from, her voice gaining an edge as she referenced past headlines that invaded her privacy during pregnancy, and Jane shot back that public figures invite scrutiny by courting fame, leading to a back-and-forth that drowned out the other panelists' attempts to mediate. Kay Adams tried to lighten the mood with a joke about British weather versus California sun, but it fell flat as the argument intensified, with Meghan declaring that she wouldn't be silenced by outdated colonial attitudes, and Jane retorting that entitlement wasn't a victimhood pass, her face flushing with frustration. The audience, a mix of loyal royalists and Sussex fans, began murmuring, some applauding Jane's boldness, others booing her perceived rudeness, creating a chaotic energy that fed into the drama. Finally, as Meghan stood up, gathering her notes, Jane made the bold move, gesturing offstage and saying, "This is Loose Women, not a soapbox for grudges. If you can't debate fairly, you're off," which shocked everyone, including the production team who scrambled to cut to ads. Post-incident, the fallout was immense, with Twitter timelines flooded by clips of the exchange, analysts dissecting body language of Meghan's crossed arms signaling defense, Jane's pointed finger asserting dominancy, and opinion pieces in newspapers like The Sun and The Guardian taking sides. Denise Welch, a known Meghan supporter, later expressed regret on air for not intervening more forcefully, while Jane doubled down in interviews, claiming she was defending journalistic integrity against celebrity spin. This event also reignited debates on feminism in media, with some viewing Jane as empowering women to speak truth to power, others seeing her as tearing down another woman for clicks. Behind closed doors, rumors suggested Meghan's team threatened legal action for defamation, but nothing materialized, perhaps to avoid more publicity. Meanwhile, Loose Women's viewership surged, proving that controversy sells, and similar shows like This Morning took notes on handling high-profile guests. As we reflect on this, it's evident that the clash wasn't just personal but symbolic of larger cultural shifts, from monarchy to modernity, tradition to transparency, and how public figures navigate accountability in the age of social media. The script of that day, though unscripted, wrote itself into infamy, reminding us that even polished personas crack under pressure, and what started as a guest spot ended as a viral sensation that divided opinions worldwide. Continuing our deep dive into the infamous Loose Women incident, where Jane Moore's heated argument with Meghan Markle culminated in her being kicked off the set, let's explore the immediate reactions and the ripple effects that followed, beginning with the stunned silence in the studio as Meghan exited stage left, her head held high despite the humiliation, while Jane sat back down, composing herself as if nothing extraordinary had happened. The other panelists exchanged awkward glances, with Kay Adams quickly transitioning to the next segment on summer fashion trends. But the elephant in the room was palpable, and viewers at home were already lighting up phone lines with complaints and praise. Social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok became battlegrounds, with edited clips going viral, some set to dramatic music highlighting Meghan's graceful departure, others mimifying Jane's stern expression as the ultimate mic drop moment. Celebrities waded into Oprah Winfrey subtly supported Meghan via a tweet about resilience, while Piers Morgan applauded Jane for finally holding her accountable, fueling the transatlantic divide. In the UK, tabloids ran front-page stories with headlines like Meghan's meltdown versus Jane's justice, dissecting every word exchanged, from Meghan's defense of her mental health advocacy to Jane's critique of her alleged hypocrisy and criticizing the press while using it for promotion. Analysts pointed out cultural nuances, noting how Meghan's American directness clashed with British reserve, leading to misunderstandings amplified on live TV. Backstage, reports leaked that Meghan was consoled by her entourage, phoning Harry immediately after, who reportedly advised her to rise above it, while Jane received a mix of high fives and reprimands from producers who loved the buzz but feared backlash. ITV's PR team worked overtime, issuing a neutral statement emphasizing the show's commitment to diverse opinions, but internally, there were discussions about guest vetting protocols to prevent future explosions. The argument's core revolved around trust in media, Jane arguing that journalists like her provide balance, Meghan countering that bias taints reporting, especially for women of color in power, and this resonated globally, sparking podcasts and think pieces on representation. In the weeks that followed, Loose Women addressed the incident in a follow-up episode, with Jane expressing no regrets but acknowledging the intensity, while absent Meghan released a statement through Arch Ewell about the importance of respectful discourse. Ratings-wise, it was a boon, with reruns drawing record streams on ITV and YouTubers creating reaction videos that amassed millions of views. This event also influenced other media appearances. Celebrities became warier of unfiltered panels, opting for controlled interviews instead. Broader implications included a surge in support for mental health charities Meghan champions, as fans rallied against what they saw as bullying, contrasted by a boost in Jane's book sales on her no-holds-barred life stories. As time passed, the story evolved from shock to satire, with late-night shows like SNL parodying the exchange, exaggerating Jane's British accent and Meghan's poise for laughs. Yet, beneath the entertainment, it highlighted real issues, the power dynamics between hosts and guests, the role of confrontation in journalism, and how personal narratives intersect with public personas. Ultimately, whether viewed as a triumph of accountability or a travesty of hospitality, this Loose Women showdown cemented its place in TV lore, a cautionary tale of what happens when sparks fly in the unforgiving arena of live broadcasting, leaving both women unscathed in their respective worlds but forever linked by that dramatic ejection. Picking up from the widespread fallout of Jane Moore kicking Meghan Markle off Loose Women following their intense argument, let's examine the long-term consequences and expert analyses that emerged, starting with how the incident affected the show's dynamics, as panelists like Denise Welch openly criticized Jane in subsequent episodes for being too aggressive, leading to internal tensions that viewers picked up on through subtle on-air jabs. Meghan, ever the strategist, turned the negative into positive by channeling the experience into her advocacy work, perhaps incorporating it into future speeches about media resilience. While her popularity in the US remained strong, with fans seeing her as a victim of British pettiness, Jane, on the other hand, embraced her role as the controversial figure, writing columns that expanded on her views, arguing that tough love is necessary to pierce through celebrity bubbles, which garnered her a loyal following among traditionalists. Media experts dissected the exchange on programs like Good Morning Britain, debating if it crossed ethical lines, with some calling it ambush journalism and others defending it as spontaneous truth-seeking in an era of scripted PR. The argument's transcript, leaked online, revealed nuanced layers: Meghan's eloquent pushback on systemic issues versus Jane's factual recalls of royal perks, showcasing the clash not just of personalities but ideologies. Public opinion polls showed a split, with older demographics siding with Jane for upholding British values, younger ones backing Meghan for modern empowerment, reflecting generational divides. Commercially, Loose Women benefited immensely, securing sponsorships from brands eager for edgy content, while Meghan's brand deals with companies like Netflix saw no dip, proving her Teflon resilience. Rumors persisted about off-camera apologies, with whispers that Jane sent a note regretting the escalation, though neither confirmed it, maintaining their stances publicly. This event also prompted industry changes, like talk shows implementing stricter topic agreements and sensitivity training for hosts to handle diverse guests better. On a personal level, it humanized both Womena Jane as the steadfast journalist unafraid of backlash, Meghan as the composed advocate under fire, earning them respect in different circles. Cultural commentators linked it to broader narratives, such as post-Brexit Britain's insularity versus global multiculturalism, with Meghan symbolizing the latter. As months turned to years, the clip became a staple in compilations of TV's wildest moments, alongside other infamous walk-offs, keeping the story alive. Supporters organized online petitions for Meghan to return triumphantly, while detractors praised Jane for not caving to celebrity pressure. In academia, communications courses used it as a case study on conflict resolution in media, analyzing verbal cues and power plays. Financially, both profited indirectly, Jane from increased speaking gigs, Meghan from heightened interest in her causes. The saga underscored the double-edged sword of fame, where exposure can elevate or eviscerate, and how one argument can spark endless discourse. Reflecting on it now, it's clear this wasn't just a spat but a mirror to society's fractures, from royal reform to media ethics, and while the dust has settled, the echoes of that heated exchange continue to reverberate, influencing how we consume and critique celebrity culture in an interconnected world. Shifting focus to the broader cultural impact of the Loose Women debacle, where Jane Moore ejected Meghan Markle after their fiery dispute, we can see how it ignited global conversations on topics ranging from feminism to freedom of speech, with women's rights groups praising Meghan for not backing down and critiquing Jane for what they deemed internalized misogyny and pitting women against each other. In contrast, free speech advocates hailed Jane as a beacon for unfiltered journalism, arguing that guests should expect robust challenges on public platforms. The incident trended worldwide, with international media like CNN and BBC covering it extensively, framing it as another chapter in the Sussexes' tumultuous relationship with the UK press. Social media influencers recreated the scene in skits, amplifying its reach to younger audiences who might not watch daytime TV, turning it into a pop culture phenomenon. Legal experts speculated on potential lawsuits for emotional distress or libel, but since no actionable defamation occurred, they both stuck to opinions that remained hypothetical. Behind-the-scenes insights from former Loose Women staff revealed that such clashes are rarer than portrayed, but this one was amplified by Meghan's star power. The argument's replay value kept it circulating, with YouTube essays analyzing rhetoric, Meghan's use of I statements for personal empowerment versus Jane's accusations for direct confrontation. This dynamic fascinated psychologists, who discussed it in terms of assertiveness versus aggression in female interactions. Commercially, merchandise like mugs with quotes from the spat popped up online, capitalizing on the memeability. For ITV, it was a ratings goldmine, prompting specials on controversial guests, while competitors like The View in the US drew parallels to their own heated moments. Meghan's response was measured, focusing on positivity in her next public appearances, perhaps at charity events, reinforcing her image as graceful under pressure. Jane, meanwhile, faced some boycott calls but emerged stronger among her demographic, guesting on radio shows to elaborate her points. The event also spotlighted diversity in media, with calls for more inclusive panels to avoid cultural clashes. In literature, biographies of both women included chapters on this, adding depth to their narratives. As a turning point, it encouraged celebrities to prepare more thoroughly for interviews, hiring debate coaches. Fan communities formed alliances, with #Team Meghan and #Team Jane hashtags fostering online tribes. Educationally, it served as fodder for media studies, teaching about the ethics of live TV. Economically, tourism to Loose Women's studio even saw a spike from curious fans,